Hi guys, I hope you guys are doing well. We are going to do chapter 14, the monetary sector. So by the end of this video, you should be able to explain the types of money and define money, distinguish between money, wealth, and income, describe the functions of money, describe the characteristics, properties of money, explain the demand for money, discuss the motive for holding money, discuss the determinants for the demand for money, discuss money supply and its various definitions, and then describe the main functions of the South African Reserve Bank, explain the basic instrument of monetary policy. These two here, I'm going to do a separate video for them because these slides are very long. So there will be another video for which basically will be dealing with the South African Reserve Bank as well as the monetary policy, right? So this is part A, where we're just going to be looking at money, the demand for money, and functions of money, characteristics, and all of that, right? So let's get into it. What do you have? Yeah. I'm just gonna pass the definition of money. So what is money? Money is a commodity or token that is generally accepted as a means of payment, right? In the textbook, they say kuti money is anything that is generally accepted and can be used as a means of payment or settlement of a debt, right? So it's just anything that can be used as a means of payment or settlement of a debt, but it has to be what generally accepted, right? The different functions of money. Money can be used as a medium of exchange, where now you're basically using money to exchange a good, to buy goods or service, right? It's basically this is what we do almost every time. Because if you have money, you go to the shop, you buy a good or service. That is using money as a what? As a medium of exchange, right? Unit of account or standard of value. The example of using money as a unit of account function would be the price tag that you see there when you go to the fix, Mr. Price, and so on. That price tag is it refers to using money as a unit of account function or standard of value, right? Basically, they said it's an agreed measure for stating the price of a good or a service, right? And store of value function, that's like if you say storing, like store of value, you're storing, what are we storing? Here it refers to like saving, right? Or retaining your purchasing power and then or holding money, right? Or money that is being held or saved and then used at a later stage, right? So if you say store, just think of saving. So you save your purchasing power or you save that money and you use it at at a later stage. So we're gonna go into details on the next slide, but here you just have to know the definition of money. It's basically anything that can be used as a medium of as a means of payment or settlement of a debt, right? And has to be accepted, right? The functions of money, medium of exchange, unit of account, and store of value. So functions of money, medium of exchange. So using money as a medium of exchange, as I've already mentioned, Dorothea, it's basically what we do on a daily basis or most of the time, just going to the shop and then you give them money, they give you a good they give you a good or provide you with a service, right? That using money as a medium of exchange. So using money as a medium of exchange, it helped to solve the problem of double coincidence of wants, right? This word here. So what is double coincidence of wants? So back in the days during when they were using the barter trade system, right? They would trade what? A good for a good. You can see this person here is gonna give my brother this goat. I know my brother will give her this basket full of, I think it's fruit or veggie, I don't know. But in the trade system, they would exchange what? A good for a good. You can see it's apples and I don't know what this is. Right. So in that system game, what usually happened is that if, for example, if I have a kettle, right, and you have maize meal, right, and I want maize meal, right, because you have maize meal and have a kettle, we can trade, right? We can exchange. I can give you my cattle and you can give me maize milk because I want maize milk. But what if now I have a cattle and I want maize milk and you have the maize milk, but you want maybe let me say you want eggs, right? You want eggs. So it'll be very difficult for me and you to trade because you have what I want, which is maize milk, but I have what you do not want because you want eggs, and Mina, I have what? I have cattles. Right. So it became very difficult for people to exchange using the barter trade system of a because there was this challenge of the double coincidence of wants, meaning that you'd find a person that has what you want, but you do not have what they want. So now you have to go around looking for someone that has what I want and also wants what I have. So now it means Uguti, in this example, because I have a cattle and I want maize milk, I cannot trade with you because you want eggs and I have a cattle. So I would have to go around looking for a person that wants a cattle because I have a cattle, right? And has what? Maize milk because I want maize milk. That led to what? To high search cost. Because now I'd have to go around looking for a person that has what I want and wants what I have. Right. And that is a problem that we have. So money came and solved the problem of double coincidence of wants. Using money as a medium of exchange, it helped to solve this problem because now with the money that I have, I can buy literally everything. I can buy maize milk, I can buy cattle, I can buy, with just having money, right? So it helped to solve the problem. So what they did is that um after encountering this problem with the barter trade system, they started using the commodities, right? They started using commodities such as beads, such as gold, such as cattle, where now they would exchange. Basically, they made beads had served the same purpose that money serves now. So with the beads that you have, you could literally buy a cattle, you could literally buy maize meal, which is having beads or just having like gold. Right. From that, they then had what representative money, and then moved to fiat money. But we're going to look at that. But with the medium of exchange, it helped to solve the problem of double coincidence of wants. Right. It solved the problem because now you can use money as a medium of exchange. Like you don't have to look for someone that, yeah, this example was not going to make it, but you guys are getting it right. So double coincidence of wants is basically a situation where now you have what I want, but I have what you do not want. Right? It's something like that. It's the clash of wants, basically. And then unit of account, I told you that when you see unit of account, you should think of the tags, the price tag that you see when you go to Mr. Price and all of that. So this is an agreed measure for stating the price of a good or service. Right? It's an agreed measure for stating the price of a good or service. As I already mentioned, Uti, the example here is a what? Is a price tag. So I just want to show you guys, Uti, how, because they said here it's an agreed measure. So who agrees on this price or so this is going to be our aggregate supply and this is going to be our aggregate demand. Right. And then here you have your price, then you have the quantity which is being supplied and demanded. So let's just say this price is what is 5 rand. So if you go to like maybe to the fix and you see a jacket there and the price tag is written 500 rand, right? That price there that is there, you have agreed on that price, right? But it doesn't mean that you literally like went there and agreed to say, okay, this jacket should be 500 rand, but it has been agreed on by the market forces of demand and supply. How so? So you see if they decide, okay, if you say, well, see, the price of that product that you see there at the fix is high, and then they say, well, okay, let's decrease the price. So if they decrease the price, it's going to be here, right? You can see that your aggregate demand is here and supply is here, meaning that more is being demanded and less is being supplied. So what do we have here? We have a shortage, right? If prices are low, we're going to have a shortage. And also now, if someone says 500 rand is too low, right, and they decide to increase the price to this here, you can see that your aggregate supply is here and your aggregate demand is here, right here, meaning that more is being supplied, obviously because the price is high. More is being supplied and less is being demanded. Because prices are high, we're gonna reduce our demand. So here we have a what? We have a what? A surplus because more is being demanded. So to try and avoid this surplus and to avoid this shortage here, the market forces we then say, "Uti, we're gonna charge the price of this, we're going to charge this product at the price, at the equilibrium price, right? At the equilibrium price. So they then do what? They adjust the prices up. If there's this thing here, which is do we say this was because aggregate demand is greater than aggregate supply. So we have a what? Have a shortage. And then also if we have an excess, they're going to decrease their prices until the prices is here at equilibrium where the forces of supply and demand meet, and that price is what is 500 rand. So that is the price you will see there when you get to the shop, right? It's an agreed measure because has been agreed on by the what? By the forces of demand and supply, right? But this was not necessary. I was just like giving you guys extra information so that you can understand. So using money as a unit of account function, basically is what the definition is, that it's an agreed measure for stating the price of a good and services, right? It's been agreed on by the what? By the market forces, right? So this makes it easy to quote prices and also to compare prices, to compare goods. Obviously, it's easy to compare goods when you look at them, when you're comparing the prices. Then in the barter system where you are just trading a good for a good, it's difficult to quote and also to compare those goods. Store of value function. Here we said what you save your purchasing power, or money is being held and then used at a later stage, right? That's what using money as a store value function. So you can hold your money and you can use it at a later stage to exchange in exchange for a good or service. However, money is not unique as a store of value. Other assets can be used, namely stock, bonds, real estate, and collaterals, right? Money can also be used as a standard of deferred payment, meaning that it also serves as a standard of deferred payment, meaning that you can buy something now and pay at a later stage. So the characteristics of money, so the functions of money, medium of exchange, it's what you do on a daily basis, whereby you exchange a good for what? For money. And thus, using money as a medium of exchange, it helps to solve the double coincidence of want, right? Problem. Unit of account, e.g., the price tag. Store of value, you save your purchasing power, right? Then you can use that money at a later stage, right? You withhold the money and you can exchange it later. The characteristics of money is that it is durable. So money is durable. You can keep it for longer period. And unlike in back in the days where they were trading with cows, cattle and so on, you could not keep that for a longer period. Obviously, the cow is gonna get sick at some point and dies. With money, you can have it for as long as you want. Portable, money is portable. You can keep it in your wallet. You can keep it in your pocket. You can walk around with 1,000 rand and no one would even notice, right? No one would even know that you have 1,000 rand. Divisibility, money can be divided into its smallest form. We have 10 cent, 20 cent, 5 rand, 3 rand, 100 rand, 200 rand, right? It can be divided to its smallest form. Uniformity is the same everywhere. 20 rand in Northwest is the same 20 rand in Limpopo. It's the same 20 rand in KZN, right? It's uniform. With the cows, if we're trading cows, yours might be fat, mine might be thin, right? So yeah, it's not uniform. They're not uniform. Scarce money is scarce, right? And the South African Reserve Bank makes sure that the money is scarce and there's it makes sure that there's limited amount of money in circulation, right? So whenever there's excess supply of money, they try to use the monetary policy, the South African Reserve Bank, to try and reduce the amount of money in circulation. And when there's a shortage also, they use the monetary policy to ensure that they increase the amount of money in circulation. So to try and retain its value, right? They make sure they make sure it stays limited, right? So that it can retain its value. Which is why most people they are going to schools, to universities, because they want money, right? Because it's a scarce resource. Acceptability, it has to be acceptable and hard to counterfeit. Money has to be difficult to copy or to fake it, right? Can't be easy to be faked or copied. So what is not money? Income. So income is not money. Income is basically what the remuneration which is earned by the factors of production, right? It is not money. And the factors of production, you know them, it's land, and land ends what? Ends rent. It's entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship ends profit. Labor ends wages, and capital ends interest, right? These are the incomes, right? Which are basically the remunerations or the rewards earned by the factors of production in the production process. And wealth is also not money, but wealth it just basically means ukuthi, if you are wealthy, it basically means ukuthi you have accumulated so many assets over time, right? They say here wealth consists of assets that have been accumulated over time, right? You have assets. You have land, you have what else? You have bonds, you have, and so on. Then you are wealthy, right? So wealth and, oh, here are the example, fixed property, shares, paintings, and all of that, right? So there's a difference between money. Money is basically anything, it's just anything, a commodity or a token that can be used as a means of payment or settlement of a debt, right? But it has to be generally accepted. With income, it's just a reward for the effects of production, right? The rewards that the effects of production earn in the production process. And then wealth, it just consists of assets that you've accumulated over time. Then you have types and kinds of money. So we have commodity money, representative money, and fiat money. So commodity money is money that would have value even if it were not used as money. So commodity money, it has value even if it was not used as money. You can see we have your gold, salt, and kettles. So back in the days where they were using the barter trade system, so what happened is that because this system it led to the challenge of double coincidence of wants, right? Remember the example that I made. Ukuthi you find that there's someone who has what you want, but you have what they do not want. So now you have to move around looking for a person that has what you want and also wants what you have, right? So in trying to solve that problem, they then introduced what commodity money, where now they would use gold or kettles or even salt, because those were the things that had value at that time, right? So they would just say, it's okay, if you have maize meal, I can just buy your maize meal with gold or with salt or with the cattle, right? And so on. So commodity money, it's money that has value even if it was not used as money. And then after using the commodity money, they then came up with the representative money. So with the representative money, it was just a paper that was okay. They said that yeah, it's a token or paper that can be exchanged for a fixed quantity of a commodity, right? It can be exchanged for a fixed quantity of commodity. So you would have a paper that maybe is written like 5 rand, sorry, not 5 rand, like 5 cows, or a coin written 5 cows. So if you have that coin, it means ukuthi with that coin you can only buy 5 cows, right? Or maybe if it's written 5 ounces of salt or whatsoever, it means ukuthi you can only buy the fixed quantity of whatever is in that coin, right? So if it's a cow, then you can buy 5 cows, right? So dependence of money, it could only be exchanged for a fixed quantity of a commodity, right? And then later on, there was fiat money. Fiat money is what we use now, and this one gets its value from the government, right? And also, it has to be accepted. So in South Africa, we have accepted the rand, right? And it gets its value from where? From the government, right? So saying the same thing. types and kinds of money. So money demand. The demand for money is the quantity of money that people are willing and able to hold at a specific point in time, given the current interest rate, the volume of economic activity, and the price level. So the demand for money. Remember what the last semester we used to say that you demand something because you're willing and you're able, right? We're just defining demand. We said well, you demand something because you are willing and you are able to afford it, right? So same thing here. Demand is still explained the same way. Now it's just that we have included money. So the demand for money is the quantity of money that people are willing and able to hold, right? So if you're demanding money, it's basically demanding the money that sorry, it's the quantities of money that people are willing and able to hold at a specific point in time, given the interest rate and the economic activity and the price level, right? So the interest rate will determine the interest rate, the price level, and the economic activities will determine the quantities of money that you are willing and able to hold at that time, right? Because if the interest rates are high, obviously you wouldn't want to hold more money because if interest rates are high, you rather want to invest that money so that you can get more interest on your investment, right? Because interest rates are high. But if interest rates are low, you'll then prefer to the demand for money will increase. The quantity of money that you'll be willing to hold at that time will increase if interest rate are low. You wouldn't want to invest that money, right? Also with economic activities and the price level as well. If price of goods and services have increased, right? You would demand more money. You would want to hold more money because prices have increased, right? So if for you to afford those goods, you will need more money, right? So the demand for money is just the quantities of money that people are willing and able to hold, and it's just dependent on the interest rates, the economic activity, and the price level. Economic activities, they're just referring to an increase in government expenditure, an increase in consumption, and full employment and all of that. So if our economic activities are increasing, such as maybe consumption expenditure is increasing, that basically means you could see people are buying more goods and services. Obviously, the demand for money would do what will increase, right? So the quantity of money demanded at any moment, it depends on the opportunity cost of holding money. So the opportunity cost of holding money is the interest rate that you could have earned in your investment if you do not hold your money, if maybe you invested it, right? So that's the opportunity cost. And a cost determined by the what? By the interest rate. The higher the interest rate rises, the opportunity cost. So they're basically saying that here, if the interest rate is increasing, the opportunity cost of holding money also increase and then reduces the demand for money. So what they're saying here is that if the interest rates are high, the opportunity cost of holding money increases. Remember the opportunity cost, I said that it's the interest that you could have earned if you did what? If you invested your money, right? So if interest rates are high, obviously the return on investment will be high. So you deciding to hold your money and not invest it is a problem because now the opportunity cost of holding that money will increase. And then the demand for money will then be reduced because you wouldn't want, if the interest rate are high, obviously you wouldn't want to hold money. You would prefer to do what? To invest it so that you can get interest on your investment. Right. Essentially, basically what they're talking about here is that the demand for money is the quantity of money that people are willing and able to hold at a specific point in time, right? And it's determined by the amount of money that people are willing to hold will be determined by the interest rate, the economic activity, and the price level, right? And the opportunity cost of holding money is the interest rates that you could be earning, right? If you had invested your money, if you holding your money maybe in a form of bonds or stock, right? The interest rate that you could be earning there is the opportunity cost of holding your money. And if the interest rate are high, the opportunity cost will increase, right? And then it will reduce the demand for money. Remember, the demand for money is the quantity of money that we are willing and able to hold. So if the interest rate are high, we wouldn't want to hold more money, but we would rather want to do what? To invest that money. So why would people hold money? For transaction motive. Transaction motive, it arises from the medium of exchange function. It's basically what we do on a daily basis also. We hold money because we want to buy goods and services. That's transaction motive, basically. You want to use your money for transactions to buy goods and services, right? It arises from the medium of exchange function. And remember the medium of exchange, I said, Uti, it's what we do value on a daily basis where you give someone your money, they give you chips, right? You use it for exchanging a good. For exchanging, you use it to exchange your money for what? For a good. So transaction motive is that, and it is dependent on the level of income, right? The level of the income that you receive is the one that will the tra what do you buy depends on what on the level of will depend on the income that you have. Because transaction motive is all about the buying of goods and services you with that money, right? So it will depend on the income that you have. Precautionary motive. Precautionary motive is basically it also arises from the medium of exchange function where we say, Guti, you use money in unforeseen circumstances, right? Or in emergencies or crisis. But it does not have to be like a person is sick. Well, it does not necessarily refer to that only. The sharp, yeah, you can use it in emergencies or unforeseen circumstances, but you can also use it when you just want to use money. Basically, precautionary motive, you do not expect to use that money, but you use it. Right? It's occurs when you do not expect to use people will carry money so that they can use it in any situations that might occur. So let me say, for example, you're going to okay, you obviously you get the one for emergencies and unforeseen circumstances, right? If someone gets sick, then you have to use that money. So you carry money for those type of emergencies. But other things is like when you're going to a shop, when you're going to like Mr. Price, for example, and then maybe you had budgeted to use 700 rand and you are carrying 1,000 rand. And then you see this nice jacket and then you just like, okay, let me just buy this one also because I like it and I have change, right? Because from this 1,000 rand, I'll be left with 300 rand. So let me just buy this jacket, right? Precautionary motive is using money. It's like you do not actually expect to spend this money, but when the need arises, you use it, right? You can also use it in unforeseen circumstances or in emergencies, right? It also arises from what a medium of exchange function. Can also use money for speculative motive. This one, it arises from a store of value function. Store of value, remember we have store, which means what you saving your purchasing power, right? You withhold that money to use or to exchange it at a later stage. So speculative motive, it's all about saving your purchasing power or holding money and using it at a later stage, right? And and this one also speculative motive, you can actually invest your money, right? You can save your money and by withholding it or by investing it and using it later, um, and using it at a later stage. So this one depends on the level on the interest. The precautionary motive, it depends on your income as well as the transaction motive. The speculative motive will depend on the interest rate because this one is saving your money, right? It's saving your purchasing power. So obviously you look at the what? At the interest rate. So if the interest rate is high, you wouldn't want to, you wouldn't, the demand for money will decrease. Demand for speculative motive will decrease if the interest rate is high, right? Sorry, if interest rate is low, the demand for speculative motive will decrease. You wouldn't want to save your money because interest rate are what is low. But if interest rate increases, the demand for speculative motive will also increase because you want to do what? You'd want to save more money, right? So if the interest rate increases, you would want to keep more money. Um, you want to save more money, obviously, because more, it's gonna generate more interest on your investment. And then the opportunity cost of holding money is the interest rate that is forgone by not holding bonds. So the opportunity cost of holding money, obviously, I've already said this. If you decide to hold money, like to keep it, um, the the opportunity cost will be the interest rate that is forgone for not holding a bond. right? And then there is a negative relationship between speculative demand for money and the interest rate. So if the interest rate, basically what they're saying here is that speculative demand for money is just okay. With speculative demand for money, you store your money, right? You don't use it and you use it at a later stage, right? So if the interest rate is high, you will rather you want to invest your money than actually keep it, right? If the interest rates are high, you would want to do what? Okay, let me just on. You think there's an inverse relationship between speculative demand, meaning that the curve is like this, right? So if the interest rate, so this is I for interest rate. So if the interest rate is here, then the demand for speculative demand is here, right? So if the interest rate is high, speculative demand will decrease. The interest rate increases. Because speculative demand is all about what? It arises from a store of value. Fashion is saying you're storing your money, right? So you hold money and you want to use it at a later stage. So you wouldn't want to, if the interest rate is high, you wouldn't want to store your money, but you rather want to do what? To invest your money, right? You would want to do what? To go and invest your money so that you can get what? More interest on your investment, right? But then now, if the interest rate decreases, the speculative demand, you can see that now it says what? It increases. It's going this side. So if interest rates are low, you would want to do what? To hold more money. So the speculative demand for money will increase if the interest rate are low because yeah, because if they're high, yeah. So if the interest rate decreases, the speculative demand for money will do what? Would increase. Right. I hope you guys are getting this one. I got a bit confused here. Because this is speculative demand, you're just holding money. And then if interest rates are high, obviously we'd want to do what? To invest that money. Right. So the demand for money is equal to the demand for active balance plus passive balance. So in total, yeah, the quantity of money that people are willing and able to hold at a specific point is equal to the demand for active balance, which consists of transaction motive and precautionary motive, right? These two are dependent on what? On the level of your income plus passive balance, which is speculative motive, which arises from a store of value function where we said you store your money or money is held and used at a later stage, right? And we said the speculative motive, there's an inverse relationship with the speculative demand and the interest rate, right? Where we say if the interest rate is high, you wouldn't want to hold more money, but you would want to do what? To rather invest it so you can get more interest on your investment, right? Main factors influencing money demand have the price level. The price level will influence the amount of money that you would want to hold. Remember, the demand for money is what? Is the quantities of money that people are willing and able to hold, right? So if the prices are high, right, or if it's during inflation, prices are high, right, you would want to hold more money because prices have increased, right? Let me just make an example here. So if maybe you with 50 Rand, I'm just gonna say 50 Rand. Maybe if with 50 Rand, you were able to buy two loaf of bread for 20 Rand and you used another 20 Rand for to buy what? To buy cheese, right? This is something that you eat every month. You can't live without these things, without loaf of bread and cheese, right? So now it's during inflation, prices increase, right? So let's say now loaf of bread, you could buy two loaf of bread for 20 Rand. Now you can buy two loaf of bread for what? For, let's say, let me just say for 30 Rand. And you were able to buy cheese for 30 Rand. Now cheese has increased in price. Now it's what is 50 Rand. So meaning that Now you're gonna need how much? Now you're gonna need 80 rand to buy what? Two loaf of bread and what? And cheese. So if the price increase, the demand for money will increase. Now you're gonna have to hold how much? Seven, did I say seven? 80 rand for you to be able to what? To afford these things, right? To afford the loaf of bread and what? And cheese. So if the price increases, the demand for money will increase. Right? The money that we want to hold will increase. I hope you guys got that example. But essentially what they are trying to say here is that the price level will influence the demand of money, because if the price increases, the price level rises, people will hold larger money balances, right? We would want to hold more money if the price increases. So that pillar we can be able to afford these goods, right? Because the prices have increased. So we're gonna need more money also for us to afford these goods. And then income, it also depends on the income that people have. The more income that you have, the more you spend and the more money you're gonna demand, right? So it also depends on the level of income. Interest rate also, the interest rate also is one of the factors that influence the demand for money. So if the interest rate are high, the demand for money decreases, because demand for money means the demand that people are willing and able to do what to hold. So if the interest rate are high, you wouldn't want to hold money, but you would rather want to do what? To invest that money, right? So that it can generate more money for us, obviously. But now, if interest rates are low, then the demand for money would increase because we'll prefer to hold that money, right? And then the demand for active balances. Active balances is based on transaction motive and precautionary motive, right? The purpose is to spend money. With the transaction motive, remember I said, Uti, you're keeping that money so that you can use it to buy goods and services. And precautionary motive, you're keeping that money for if the need for it arises, then you can use it. That can be emergencies, it can be anything that you see was okay, I want to use this money, then you can use it. And it's also dependent on the what? We said it's dependent on the medium of exchange function, right? Oh, yeah, they said it here. It's determined by the what? By the level of income, right? So for active balances, the curve is like that. It is what? It is vertical. It does not have a relationship with the interest rate because it's determined by what? By the level of income, right? Your transaction motive, what you buy on a daily basis, it depends on what? On your income. Precautionary motive, right? Holding money for unforeseen circumstances depend on your what? On your income. So it has no relationship with the what? With the interest rate. Hence the curve is what? Is vertical like that. If your income increases, then the curve will shift to the right. If your income decreases, then your curve will shift right to the left. And then the demand for passive balances, this one, it's based on speculative motive, and the purpose is to save or invest. Remember, we said, Uti, with the speculative motive, you it's based on the store of value function. Where you said you want to store your purchasing power, right? Save your purchasing power, then use it at a later stage. And it's determined by the what? By the interest rate, where we said there's an inverse relationship between the speculative motive and the interest rate. If the interest rate is high, the speculative demand will decrease. If the interest rate is low, speculative demand will increase, right? Because if interest rates are high, we rather want to do what? To invest our money, right? So that it can generate more. Um, um, we can get interest on our investment, right? So here's a curve for the demand for passive balance. It is what? It's downward sloping, as you can see. And then there's a relationship, obviously, between the interest rate and the quantity of money. And this relationship is inverse, whereby we said, if whereby we said, if the interest rate is here, if it decreases, you see, the demand will increase. And if it's increased, the demand will do what? Will decrease. Because if interest rates are high, you wouldn't want to hold more money, but you rather want to do what? To invest our money, right? We didn't want to save it, but invest it. So we have total demand for money. Remember total demand now, that is where we have what your active balance and your what and your passive balance, which consist of transaction motive, speculative motive, and precautionary motive, right? So here they've grouped together the curves, right? And they're basically showing us that there's a negative inverse relationship with I and M, so with interest and money for speculative purpose. The position shift of the curve is determined by the demand of the active balances, which is determined by the income level. So if there's a shift in the curve, it's determined by the what? By an increase in the income levels, right? Thus, the demand for money is a function of income level and interest and so on. So if the curve shift this way, it basically indicates ukuthi there is an increase in the income levels because here they've grouped them together, right? The vertical one for active balances and then this one for passive balances, right? Which is the speculative motive, right? So if your curve shift like this, it means ukuthi there is an increase in income or here it is a decrease in income. And then the second relationship, okay, is just shown by this an increase in interest rate, which will cause a decrease in quantity of money, or or a decrease in interest rates, which will be shown on a, which will be shown by what? By an increase in the what? In the quantity of money. Right. So this one would illustrate the second relationship, which is the what? For speculative what? Speculative motive. Right. So I'm just trying to run over the thing because I have a class. So three generalization, demand for money. So this is what we can come up with is that, and as interest rate increases, people tend to hold less money. As I mentioned, guys, we'll see if interest rate increase, we want to hold less money, right? Because we want to invest that money than just holding it. As the rate of inflation increases, people want to hold more money. Obviously, if prices increase, we want more money so that we can afford these goods, right? As the level of income rises, people hold more money. Obviously, because if income rises, our spending increases, and then we demand what? More money. It's literally the same thing. So let's just one, I still have time. Let me do this one. So the demand for money or liquid preferences, a summary. So we have why we hold money for transaction motives and for speculative motive. And precautionary, they didn't include precautionary, but it falls under this one also because they use money for as the function is medium of exchange function, right? Because with the transaction, we use that money to sell it, we hold it because sorry, not sell. We hold that money because we want to buy goods and services, right? And also for precautionary motive, if the need arises, then we're gonna buy goods and services, right? So it's the function is medium of exchange function. And then this one, it falls under active balance together with precautionary motive, right? And the main determinant is income. And then speculative motive, it arises from a store value function where we said "Kuti, you want to save or invest your money, right? And it falls under the passive balances. The main determinant is the interest rate because if the interest rate is high, you rather invest your money. And then if it's low, you just rather hold your money, just save it, right? So that's what they're saying here. So let's just do these questions. They're saying that which of the following does not describe the function of money? Medium of exchange, it does. Unit of account, yes. Store of value, so the answer is D. Money is, remember, money is just anything, a token or commodity that can be used as a means of payment or settlement of a debt. So the answer is B here. Money is not an income, guys. Because remember, we said it was income, those are just the remuneration for the factors of production. It's not also wealth. Wealth is just the asset that you've accumulated over time. So the value of coins and money in circulation, no. So the answer here is B. Money overcomes the problem of double coincidence of words inherent in the barter system through the function as a medium of exchange. So the answer here is A. Remember we said Uguti, um Using money as a medium of exchange, it solved the double coincidence of one's problem or challenge, whereby now you go around looking for a person that has what you want and wants what you have, right? So using money as a medium of exchange, we could just with the money, I can just buy anything. I don't have to find someone with the 20 rand so we can exchange 20 rand, you know. With the 20 rand, I can just buy chips. I can go there and I can also buy a lollipop and I can also buy, you know, something. So the answer here is A. In a barter system, we would see, obviously in the barter system, they were trading good for good. So the answer here, many different units, no money and exchange for other goods. Money and goods exchange for each other. Money and goods exchange for each other. Okay, no. Why? Okay, the answer here is D. Goods traded directly for goods and services. A 225, I'm gonna leave this to you guys. You should get this one because I've been repeating myself when it comes to this one when we're dealing with the functions of money. So they're saying here, 2,250,000 price tag on a G63 AMG Mercedes-Benz is an example of money as a function as is an example of money functioning as I'm not gonna say the answer for this one. You guys know the answer here. You guys know if you don't know the answer, you can ask on the comment section. But if you do, you can also write the answer there for number 5. I want to see if you guys are following. Okay, number C, to say that money is a store of value, we mean that obviously Pella, store of value. Oh, also this one, but let me just answer this one. Store of value, remember I said Uti, if you say store, storing something, just think of saving something, right? So we mean that obviously, let's just read here. They're saying the value of money is not affected by inflation. It facilitates purchase and sale. It's a way of saving purchasing power to be used when needed. Both A and C are correct. Okay, which one is the answer here, guys? Okay, yeah, you got it right. The answer is C. Because you save your purchasing power, right? The key word was saving. Because I told you guys, if you say store, just think of storing something, saving something, right? Because with the store of value, you want to save your money, you want to hold your money, then use it at a later stage, right? Faint money is what? Remember, we have different kinds of, is it kinds of money? Where we say Duguti, we have commodity money where they use cows, kettles, but where they use that gold and salt, and then we have representative money where I said Duguti, um, they would create like a paper, and then that paper can be used to purchase a fixed quantity of commodities. Remember, then we also have faint money, which gets its value from the government, right? And has to be accepted by everyone. So let's read here. The same as representative money? No. Representative money is the one which I said they will create they would have a paper or a coin where they will write 5 cows. So with that paper, you can only buy 5 cows, right? A fixed quantity of commodities, which is 5 cows, right? That is written there. And then medium money that has intrinsic value, convert money declared by law. Commodity money is this one, it's the same as representative money. Is a legal tenement that intrinsic value by its it's C. Number 9, which of the following statement is not true? The answer here is D. Money is another term for income because money is not an income. This is number 9. Number 10, which of the following statement is incorrect? The answer here is B. Money and wealth are essentially the same. This is incorrect. Number 11, I'm just saying the answers, guys, because I have to go. The main reason that people hold money for the purpose of acquiring things is transaction motive, obviously. And then if there was precautionary motive here, I was going to get confused. In terms of demand for money, the interest rate represents C, the opportunity cost of holding money. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm going to do another one for this part here. And yeah, I'm just rushing something. I have a class. So let me just do this.